His name was Clarbonax-7, and he came from the planet Vortek Prime. Vortek Prime was a civilization where uniformity wasn't just encouraged, it was enshrined. Citizens had the same height, same weight, and the same 6 crimson dots on their foreheads. They had the same yellow hair, and on Vortek Prime, the concept of individual was considered a dangerous evolutionary glitch. And for Clarbonax, finding the right pattern to follow was all he'd ever known. It was the safety of sameness. One day, his navigation system malfunctioned after passing through an unexpected radiation belt near Earth. His ship spiraled out of control, and the shields failing, and crash-landed in Silver Lake, California, of all places, right next to a guy named Brad. Brad was magnetic. He had 6-pack abs and a strong preference about skin regimens. Brad wore designer vintage tees and often reminisced about his golden days as a model before he got behind the camera to really control the narrative. He said things like shabong when he captured what he called the money shot. And Clarbonax, stranded on a planet of 7 billion different faces, did what he had been programmed to do. He discovered that Brad was a portrait photographer whose entire portfolio consisted of overlit shot of aspiring models on either black or white. His Instagram feed was an endless parade of the same 3 lighting setups and the same 5 poses and the identical retouching. Clarbonax binged Brad's YouTube channel. He devoured every workshop and ebook. Crush Your Photography Business, Style Secrets Unleashed, The 6-Figure Lens, which promised an income from teaching rather than client work. Clarbonax learned to drink green smoothie, bought the same camera bag Brad was sponsored by, and eventually became a strange approximation of Brad. He even yelled shabong when he captured an image that looked like it could have been taken by Brad himself. And in exchange, Clarbonax used his alien powers to enhance Brad's existence. He fixed his vintage Mercedes with telekinesis. Telepathy convinced followers to sign up for Brad's newest course on light faces like Brad. He even generated an algorithmic favor that made Brad's posts appear at the top of everyone's feed. And Brad liked having followers that created more followers. It helped him create a community where people could pay to learn his style. And Clarbonax showed Brad that he could find others that would pay him for this knowledge and find more people of their own. That he could create a pyramid of people willing to pay money to shoot all the same photos. And meanwhile, Clarbonax felt himself getting thinner. This small obsidian cube from Vortek Prime grew heavier in his pocket as the 6 crimson dots began to fade. But how could that be? Brad was thriving. And this was just a new form of sameness, a new collective to belong to. Wasn't that what he wanted? Wasn't that what he was raised to be? One day, Clarbonax tripped on a curb while following Brad into a coffee shop. Faceplant, camera crashing against the concrete, and alien blood mingling with the sidewalk dust. And Brad just laughed, then immediately pulled out his iPhone to document this moment. Content gold right here, folks, Brad announced to his Instagram Live. And that's when Clarbonax looked up from the sidewalk and saw her. A woman with worn leather boots, hair the color of a forgotten seaside town, vintage film camera hanging from her neck. And unlike Brad and the small crowd forming, she knelt down beside him.
Hey, you okay?
She asked, her voice soft but steady as she offered her hand. I'm fine, Clarbonax mumbled, embarrassed, his alien blood turning purple against the concrete. She helped him up and carefully picked up his cracked camera, examining it before handing it back. Her eyes lingered on the identical setup to Brad's. Same bag, same accessories. He was even wearing the same branded t-shirt as Brad.
You shoot with Brad?
She asked, nodding towards Brad, who was still filming the incident and laughing. Clarbonox nodded, uncertain.
Yeah. I used to assist him. I'm not his biggest fan.
Her expression thoughtful rather than judgmental.
I just think photography is more than about likes or money or whatever. To Brad, that's all it is. But I don't think it has to be. It can be something more human. Something more honest, you know?
But he's successful, Clarbonox responded, the words automatic. She smiled.
Well, maybe Brad isn't as successful as he wants you to think. At least not in the way that matters. Just a thought. Take care of that bump. It looks like it hurts.
She gave his shoulder a gentle squeeze, wiped the blood from his head. Brad, still narrating the incident to his followers. And Clarbonox wasn't sure if it was the growing lump on his forehead or the unexpected kindness of the blue-haired stranger. But suddenly, he saw Brad for who he was. He questioned if Brad was really a good photographer at all, and maybe he was just more of a salesman of simplified formulas. A man who built a career teaching others a stripped-down version of photography that anyone could replicate, but no one would remember. And in that moment, Clarbonox realized that Earth offered something that Vortex Prime never could. A choice. The blue-haired woman showed him in one simple, kind gesture that on this planet, being different wasn't a glitch to be corrected. It was a possibility. That night, for the first time since arriving on Earth, Clarbonox alone in his broken spaceship made a photograph just because it moved him. A self-portrait that didn't hide his alien features, but celebrated them. It wasn't perfect. It wouldn't sell a course. It wouldn't launch a workshop. But it was his. Welcome to the Terrible Photographer Podcast. My name is Patrick Four, and this episode is called Copy Machine.
Lately I've been staring at the dark. Turn my inner demons into art. Struggle with the pain inside my heart. Wish I didn't care about what they say. What you want to say, 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 what you want to no one.
I think somewhere along the line, a lot of us stopped making work that we love and started making work that looks like, well, belongs to someone else. Today, we're diving into the psychology of imitation, why we copy, who we follow, and how easy it is to lose your voice trying to find success. From preset culture to workshop worship, we talk about what it really means to make something original and why so many photographers, including me at times, have defaulted to just hitting print. There's no shame. There's no shade. Okay, maybe a little bit of shade. Just an invitation to step out of the assembly line and start making work that actually sounds like you. The story of Clarbonox 7 might seem a little far-fetched, maybe even cheesy. I get it. But let's be honest, many of us have found our own version of Brad, our own template that we've been following, our own pyramid schemes of influence. So I want to talk about why we do this. Copying works, at least at first. It's safe. It's fast. It gives you results you can measure. Likes, engagement, maybe even bookings. And it taps into something ancient, something wired into our neurological lizard brains. It's the urge to conform. Psychologists call this social proof, and it's a concept pioneered by Robert Cialdini. It's a powerful cognitive shortcut where we assume that if others are doing something, especially successful ones, it must be correct, valuable, or safe. It's why restaurants with lines going around the block seem alluring and better. Why we read reviews before buying. Why we look at the cool kids and see what they're wearing. In uncertainty, we follow the herd. It's not weakness, it's evolutionary. For most of human history, going against the group could get you killed. So we developed this psychological failsafe. When in doubt, do what everyone else is doing. The problem? In creative fields, this survival mechanism becomes the very thing that kills our originality. And that makes sense because safety matters, especially when you're struggling financially, creatively, emotionally. When the pressure is on, originality can feel like a luxury. Conformity feels like a strategy. But here's where it turns dangerous. We don't just copy others' techniques. We start copying their values, their choices, their voice, their priorities, and even their personality. And little by little, we lose our own. And there's research on this. In one famous experiment, people were shown a set of lines and asked which one matched in length. When actors in the group deliberately gave the wrong answer, real participants went along with that lie just to avoid standing out. We're not as independent as we think. Most of us would rather be wrong with the group than right alone. There's a scene in one of my favorite movies, Dead Poets Society, where Robin Williams' character asks his students to walk across the courtyard. He doesn't give them any real instruction, just to walk. At first, everyone moves in different rhythms, but slowly they start marching in sync. Same pace, same beat, same direction, without being told.
No grades at stake, gentlemen. Just take a stroll. There it is. I don't know, but I've been told doing poetry is cold. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, left. Halt! Thank you, gentlemen. If you notice, everyone started off with their own stride, their own pace. Mr. Pitts, taking his time. He knew he'll get there one day. Mr. Cameron, you can see him thinking, is this right? It might be right. It might be right. I know that. Maybe not. I don't know. Mr. Overstreet, driven by a deeper force. Yes. We know that. All right. Now, I didn't bring them up here to ridicule them. I brought them up here to illustrate the point of conformity, the difficulty in maintaining your own beliefs in the face of others. Now, those of you, I see the look in your eyes like,
I would have walked differently. Well, ask yourselves why you were clapping.
and we all have a great need for acceptance. But you must trust that your beliefs are unique, your own, even though others may think them odd or unpopular, even though the herd may go, that's bad. Robert Frost said, 2 roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Now, I want you to find your own walk right now, your own way of striding, pacing, any direction, anything you want, whether it's proud, whether it's silly, anything. Gentlemen, the courtyard is yours.
And in the photography world, where success is often wrapped in visual trend, a preset, or dare I say, a personality, it's incredibly easy to be duped, to believe that someone else's aesthetic, business model, or messaging template is the path forward, even if it costs us our creativity, and even if it costs us money. How much money is it costing us? The global online photography education market is valued over $785 million as of 2023, and it's projected to hit 1.47 billion with a B by 2030. And that's not camera sales. That's just education. People paying to be taught how to shoot, how to light, pose, brand, and sell like someone else. And there's a reason why so many photographers are abandoning client work for becoming educators and influencers. We're all looking for shortcuts. We're looking for a new strategy, for the secret lighting recipe, for the most optimal business blueprint. But we forget that what works for one person doesn't always work for another. And that sometimes, maybe more often than we care to admit, those courses, those masterminds, those memberships, those quote unquote game-changing workshops leave us right where we started, just with less money and a little bit more self-doubt. As the famous writer Ralph Waldo Emerson says, imitation is fucking suicide. Okay, he didn't say fucking, I added that. Segment 3, the cost of staying in the copy machine. Here's the quiet tragedy. When you live inside the copy machine, you build a business that isn't yours. You construct a creative identity on borrowed foundation, one that can collapse the moment trends shift or the person you're copying moves on. And like Clarbanox losing his crimson dots, your defining features slowly fade. In my view, there are photographers whose work has spawned entire industries of imitation. Peter Hurley with his jawline-focused headshots, Lindsay Adler with her precise editorial lighting, Sue Bryce with her transformative portraiture, and many others. And that's not to knock on them, it's a testament to how distinctive and powerful their work is. But there are 3 costs to this creative duplication. First, you sacrifice autonomy, both creatively and financially. Your decisions become reactions. What would Peter do with this jawline? How would Lindsay light this? What pose would Sue use here? You're not steering your own ship. You're following someone else's wake. Second, you attract the wrong clients. People who want what you imitated, not what you actually are. They come to you for the formula, not your specific vision. And the moment a newer, cheaper, more accessible version of that formula appears, they'll just migrate there. And finally, you become invisible. Not because you lack talent, not because you're not working hard, but because your work blends into everyone else. A ghost in the algorithm, another drop in the ocean of sameness. When you look at those who shoot headshots like Peter, the measure of quality is measured against the target that is set by Peter's style. The more you deviate from his style, the more you are critiqued. But in those situations, sameness is celebrated, even rewarded. Fall in line, shoot the way that you've been told, pay your subscription fees, and if you do it well enough, we'll reward you with a gold star. How many photographers can you name who shoot exactly like Peter Hurley? Now, how many can you name who created something so distinctively theirs that it couldn't possibly be mistaken for anyone else's work? This sameness isn't just creatively limiting, it's exhausting. It leads to a particular brand of burnout that doesn't announce itself with sirens. It sneaks in through the back door of your mind, shows up as procrastination and cynicism, that quiet thought at 2 a.m. that maybe you're not cut out for this. But what's actually happening is that you're running someone else's race. You're measuring yourself against the metrics that you didn't choose. You've outsourced the thinking, the seeing, the feeling to a program, a formula, a personality. Your creative life becomes the equivalent of being a line cook at Burger King. Yes, you might be efficient. Yeah, what you might make even be satisfying, but the recipe isn't yours. Your job is simply just to reproduce what's already been created. And so you stick with the approved script. You light it like Lindsay. You pose like Sue, and you direct like Peter. And maybe, just maybe, you'll get the results that you've been promised. but it doesn't have to be this way. Segment 4, breaking free from the copy machine. So that begs the question, how do we escape the copy machine? How do we develop a voice that's actually ours? And in my view, there are 3 critical steps to finding your authentic creative voice. And they're not what most photography influencers will tell you. First, we gotta flip the ratio. Most photographers have this backwards. They spend 80% of their time consuming education and 20% of their time actually shooting. They're information hoarders and not image makers. The real path forward? Spend 80% of your time and money on practice and test shoots. Dedicate just 20% to education, workshops, and conferences. Making images is how you discover what matters to you, not by watching another tutorial. Think about it. Whether it's Peter Hurley, Lindsay Adler, Sue Bryce, none of them found their signature styles by following somebody else's playbook. They put in thousands of hours experimenting, failing, and refining. Their voices emerged through iteration, not imitation. Second, we have to have the audacity to defy our heroes. And this is the hardest part because we've been conditioned to believe that there's a right way to do things. But here's the truth. There's no right way. There's only your way. So to do this, we got to start small. If they say only use natural light, try strobes. If they swear by one modifier, try something else. If they tell you to always shoot at 2.8, try f8. Change your locations, your color stories, your post-processing. And the goal here isn't just to be contrarian for the sake of it. It's to break creative habits that haven't been installed by other people. Have the courage to do things the way you want to do them just because you want to do them, and understand that that's good enough. Remember, what a certain photographer says is it my way or the highway. And if they do say that, fuck them. You don't need them. You should find your own highway. And finally, you need to diversify your influences. If your Instagram feed and YouTube subscriptions and workshop attendance all feature the same type of photographer creating the same type of work, you're in just a big echo chamber. Seek out photographers who shoot nothing like you. Learn from genres you don't work in. Look at photography books and the work of dead photographers, not just the ones with YouTube channels. Henry Cartier-Bresson never sold one preset. Diane Arbus didn't have a membership site. Richard Avedon wasn't doing Instagram lives. Yet their work remains influential decades later because it came from a place of genuine curiosity, personal vision, and creative excellence. The photographers who break free from this copy machine understand something essential. Originality isn't just about inventing something no one has ever seen before. It's about the unique combinations of influence that only you can bring together. So ask yourself, what would my work look like if I stopped trying to please the algorithm, the client, the guru, the YouTube personality? What would it look like if I created work that I truly liked? And that's where your voice is hiding, in the gap between what you've taught to make and what you actually want to make. It's time to find it. Consumption is easier than creation, but creation is where the good stuff is. So let's bring this one home, shall we? I want you to remember Claude Bonnach and his journey through the world of imitation. His story matters because it's really our story. Most of us, anyway, have all been there, standing at the crossroads between safety and self-expression, between copying someone else's formula and creating our own. Here's what I hope that you take away from today. First, understand that copying is natural. It's built into our biology. Social proof isn't a character flaw. It's how humans have survived for thousands of years. But in creative work, what keeps us safe can also keep us small. Second, recognize that the true cost of living in the copy machine is not just about making derivative work. It's about losing autonomy, attracting the wrong clients, and eventually becoming invisible in a sea of sameness. That burnout you might be feeling, it could be your authentic voice trying to break free. Third, remember the 80-20 rule, but flip it. Spend 80% of your time making images and only 20% of your time, money, consuming education and content. Your voice emerges through creation, not consumption. Fourth, have the courage to defy your heroes, not out of disrespect, but out of respect for your own journey. Their highway got them where they needed to go. Yours might look different. And finally, I want you to diversify your influences. Look beyond Instagram and YouTube. Study photographers from different genres, different eras, different worlds. Your unique voice isn't found by following one path perfectly. It's found at the intersection of all paths that have meant something to you. The blue-haired woman in our story was right. Brad isn't as successful as he wants you to think, at least not in the way that matters. True success isn't measured in followers or workshop sales or people who want to be in your club. It's measured in work that could have only come from you. So before we leave today, I want to give you a question. This is your challenge for the week. It's simple, but potentially life-changing if you really engage with it. Take it seriously. Here it is. If you stopped caring what other photographers thought of your work, if you weren't trying to impress them or earn their validation, what would your photography actually look like? Not what your clients want, not what the algorithm rewards, not what the workshops taught you, but what would you create if the only person you needed to please was yourself? So I want you to think about that. Ponder it as you sit in traffic. Journal about it. Let yourself imagine it without rushing to judgment. The answer might surprise you, and it might just be the key to breaking out of the copy machine for good. Because somewhere along the line, a lot of us stopped making the work that we love and started making work that just looks like it belongs to someone else. This has been the Terrible Photographer Podcast. My name is Patrick Four. If you have any questions or if you want to send me some hate mail, feel free to do that. You can email me at patrick@terriblephotographer.com, or you can DM me on our new Instagram @terriblephotographer. Until then, see you next Tuesday. Remember, stay different, stay curious, and yeah, stay terrible.